You guys know what time it is. Get strapped in and ready for some good times. This is the Blowed Out Podcast. What is up, everybody? It is your favorite Fatty with a Natty. Coming at you, by the time you hear this, it will be New Year's Eve. So, Happy New Year's, everyone. This will be your official speaking to. You're the only warning you're going to get. So, hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's Christmas was fantastic. It was good. It was good here. Nice and green, which is strange, but not unheard of. Could have went for just a little bit of white, although I'd be lying if I said I missed it. My body doesn't mind it at all, and I'm pretty sure it was, actually, I want to say it was 60, Christ, I think it was 65 degrees here on Christmas Day, which, again, unheard of, but we'll take it. My back and my body will take it. So, let's jump into some stuff, shall we? I do feel like I would like to address the rampant trend, and I believe I already have at one point, but it has gotten so much worse lately, especially around this neck of the woods, of like just nonstop begging for everything. And I don't know. I don't know. It baffles me, to be honest. I get the times are tough. Times are tough for all of us. I don't think there's any one person out there. Well, there's probably one, but for the most part, that aren't feeling the constraints and pain and everything else of inflation and out of control prices on everything. I know that everyone's, super worried about their insurance coming up. Everybody's losing their minds, honestly, and I don't know what to make of it. Again, especially on social media, it just blows my mind. I mean, these are folks, and don't get me wrong, and this is how I know we've talked about it before, because I feel like I said the same thing then, and I'll say it again now. If you're having tough times, that's one thing, but if this is just your MO now, then that's a whole nother thing, right? Like, it's a problem. Yes, Christmas is tough. Raising kids is tough. Bills. All these things are tough. But, my God, if your only plan is to get on social media and beg repeatedly, and that's kind of where I'm aiming here is, if you're in a bind and you need a little help, sure, everybody needs a little help every once in a while. But, man, if it's just over and over and over, how does that register in your mind that this is somehow sustainable? Like, what's your plan, long term? I mean, obviously these are just ramblings, but honestly, like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know. I couldn't, me personally, I just couldn't operate that way. And I don't know, some of it I feel like there are folks who spend more time trying to navigate their way through the next handout than just putting in the work. And I understand that sounds harsh and, brash, and I sound like an asshole, but good Lord, again, if you spend more time drumming up new ways or more ways or other ways to beg for another handout, and you're spending the same amount of time that you could be just putting in some work, granted, I understand the job market is really rough. I understand that firsthand. Because, I don't know, 18 months ago, 20 months ago, I was in the same boat. But there are plenty of people, that are willing to put forth some effort as far as giving you odd jobs, yard work, depending on the neck of the woods you're in. There are a lot of things you can do to drum up, the $20 or $30 or $40 that everybody seems to have no problem with jumping on social media and begging for day after day after day. Like, again, I'm sorry. That was just one thing that's kind of been in my craw a little bit for the last several days. And like I said, it really seems to be ramped up in the last couple weeks. I'm trying to be understanding and thoughtful and mindful of, a lot of folks have it real rough. I get that, but come on. It's not sustainable, kids. I mean, you're going to have to, eventually something is going to have to give. It just is. So anyhow, now that I've gotten that off my chest, where should we go first? The weather madness, all the people who are sadly thinking that the alternative to that is to check out. I mean, man, just, it seems to be nonstop. And I wish that wasn't the case for everyone. I really do. But like usual, I don't, other than just keep on keeping on, I don't have any good answers. So, anyhow, I was trying to decide if I could somehow do some sort of New Year's recap on this year. Lord, I don't think it's possible, guys. I would normally try and do this, sitting around with a bunch of folks. But, well, just the day of the week that things fell on and everything else, I honestly don't know if there is a solid, good way to recap this year. Is there? Good Lord. It has been so all over the place. I mean, everything from Trump and his cronies to, Lord, Kamala and Jasmine and AOC and ice battles and good Lord. Just like I said, there just is no good way to recap it. We can say madness. Madness has ensued. There is absolutely no doubt about that. Is there any end to it? I don't know. And much like I've said before, I implore you to find me anyone that does know, because I don't think that person exists. What will 2026 bring? Also, just as much of a mystery. Just since we talked last, we have apparently targeted ISIS with bomb strikes in I don't know when. Lord, I should have been better prepared for that. Sorry, somewhere across the pond. Yeah, it's right on the tip of my tongue, but I don't want to say it wrong. So, but we have that. We have the Venezuelan oil fiasco, which, come on, do I think that any of those guys were fishing? Absolutely not. Do I also see right through the bullshit of, you know, one of the largest oil reserves on the planet? Of course, especially now that we have seized yet another tanker and presumably, admittedly, going to use it for our own personal gain. So, who knows? Christ, by this time on a Friday, we could be in the midst of a national, guess that would be the right way to say it, multi-country conflict, bordering on World War III. There just really is no certain way to say. And that's mildly terrifying, and also kind of so much of a big picture that, like, I'm not going to run out and start hoarding toilet paper, right out of the gate either. I wouldn't even dare to gamble, and I love to gamble, but I wouldn't dare gamble what next year is going to bring. And I don't know that there is anyone out there that could tell us with any degree of certainty. I don't think analysts or anyone, not any other radio personality or TV, and nothing. I just don't think it exists at this point, kids. I will definitely say that we can bank on a lot more rhetoric from both sides, a lot more gibberish out of crazy whack jobs who feel that they are better suited for the position than the current administration, which is a lot of them, but I can assure you it's not the ones who are spouting off. And I've said it before, that's just a matter of read the room. Like, knock it off, Jasmine, AOC, Kamala. Just not a good idea in my book. A couple of them are not a good idea because they're not even capable of having an intelligent conversation. One or two of them, and I say that because that's not the only three I'm speaking of, but one or two of them is, and we talked about it before, is a bad idea simply because the way that is viewed globally. However, I've said it before, I won't keep beating a dead horse, but the ones who are being the loudest are certainly the worst candidates for the job. I do have to admit that I was wrong about gold, although I'm not entirely certain how. It's still gained from where I started talking about it, but it did not hit the 5,000 that I expected it to. Mostly because what I assume is the turmoil, the unrest, the uncertainty of, oh my God, are we going to wake up to a big boom or not? So I blame that, but boy, it's still pretty damn high. And it still isn't that far off. It's only a day or two of away from smacking that 5,000 goal. The rest of the markets are down just a hair today. I wish that would change for my portfolio, but there's really nothing in there to speak of, so it wouldn't matter anyhow. Who I'm sure is doing a pretty decent job is microwave manufacturers. These sons of bitches. I had a Frigidaire, which I won't completely talk bad about Frigidaire. I have some Frigidaire things that have served me well over the years. I have an ice maker that works really well, and I hope that it continues to do so for a long time. However, I had a microwave that was manufactured in the end of 2018. And it was my mother's. And so, it probably got used about, 7 times in that many years. Not a whole lot of microwave going on around these parts back then. The door switches shit the bed. I don't know if any of you have ever had to deal with this, but when the door switches, there are 3. When one of those 3 door switches shits the bed, it makes it so it blows fuses. Not the breaker, mind you, but the internal 20 amp, 125 volt fuse that you can get 2 for $10 at your local hardware store. This is not something you merely pop open a little cover and just replace. You tear the front of the microwave off and, take panels off and do a bunch of bullshit to replace said fuse. Then you put in the new fuse, turn the breaker back on, and you go, yay, it worked. It beeped at me. You set the clock, and then you hit start to finish setting the clock, rather. And then it goes, poof, and blows that $5 fuse. So you do this a few times in futility, only to realize that this pile of shit is either going to continue doing this, or you replace the switches, or you just throw it in the damn dumpster like I did. Now, that could also be caused by several other things, but the door switches are the most notorious. And it's usually found out when you open the door without stopping the microwaving action. So that's super cool. And this is, again, apparently a very common thing. So, for a couple to several $100s, you can spend 5 hours getting your ass kicked, installing a replacement microwave on top of having to load up the old one and drag it to the dumpster because it's just a paperweight now. So, big thanks to those guys. Much like automotive manufacturers, they know exactly what they're doing because they got me, apparently. Anyhow, if no one picked up on the side note of microwave manufacturers, that was it. Anyhow, now I can go back to reheating Christmas ham and Thanksgiving turkey. This still isn't bad. I don't need anyone to try and change my mind. There's no fur on it. It's totally fine. It's only a month old. We had that talk. Cut the furry part off, eat the rest, boom, your money. If nothing else, keeps it regular. I'm sticking to that, just for the record. Maddie, without an Addie, will have no part of that, just for the record. We love him dearly. But I get a lot of leftovers because he will not play that game. And if you're wondering, no, I did not replace it with another Frigidaire because, as you heard, I'm currently boycotting Frigidaire microwaves. So if anyone else would like to join me in this venture, I will be in Town Square Saturday afternoon at 1:30 marching against Frigidaire microwaves. Join me. No Frigidaire kings. This is our chance, folks. This is our only chance to stand up and let them know how we really feel. Don't RSVP. We'll just see you there. Are you a business owner or marketing director for your company? Would you like to explore the potential benefits of advertising on the show? The Blowed Out podcast currently reaches listeners in over 104 cities spread across 13 countries worldwide. To explore advertising options, including budgeting and frequency, email us at blowedoutpodcast@gmail.com and be sure to include marketing in the subject line. Sadly, back to that whole social media thing. I don't know why. I do know why. Because I like to talk shit. But if I was smart, I would get off of that trash and stay off. Because it just never gets any better. All I do is get called a big meanie head, which you guys know. Case in point, this woman, back to the begging thing, literally was just begging for money because they got in an accident for $1,200. Says they had 6 kids. Says they were in an accident that was not their fault. Looking for transportation to get them and their 6 kids back and forth to doctor's appointments and work and the other thing. However, it clearly states in the GoFundMe that it had nothing to do with the 6 kids. They just have 6 kids. But again, $1,200. And looking for transportation. Okay, well, red flag, first of all. If you had insurance like you're supposed to, then you would just call your insurance company and they would give you a rental, frickin' bus with that many kids. But none of this would be an issue. So, of course, I know that you're riding dirty. $1,200 would be about what it is to get your car out of impound because they impounded it because you have no insurance. So I take offense to these things. Am I the safest driver? Absolutely not. Do I have the max limits of insurance on everything? You bet your sweet ass. Was I also raised from the first day I had my license that there is absolutely no driving if you don't have insurance? I'm certain that most, if not all of you guys, are the same way. Why do people think that things like this are okay to just, Well, don't get me wrong. If it comes down to insurance or feed my kids, sure, I'm going to feed my kids. But guess what that also means? Is that I don't get to drive. I would then have to find a ride or walk or whatever it takes to get about town or to my job or not because I don't have insurance. I can't drive because I don't have insurance. It's illegal, unethical, irresponsible. The list goes on and on. So don't get me wrong. I understand how people choose not to pay insurance over other more important bills. But why, at that point, they think it's just okay to continue driving. And, don't get me wrong. I don't want to walk anywhere. Christ, I don't want to walk to work or take a bus. That shit sucks. Granted, where I'm at, in this neck of the woods, yes, there is a public transit system. It's not the best. Could I get to work? Absolutely. Do I have to leave a couple hours early and probably take a couple transfers? You bet. Not quite the same as, jumping on the BART or, I don't know, whatever it may be where you're at. Some of you I know don't have even as good as I have here, but that's what I mean is it inconvenient? Absolutely. Do I want to walk? Shit, no. So, it's easy to think that, it'll be okay. I'll just drive careful. God forbid something happen and you seriously injure or kill someone. And then you think that the, $150 a month or whatever you may pay for insurance was bad. Well, hold on to your sweet ass. And I know that I don't have to explain this to you guys, but it's conversationally fun. So these people just blow my mind, and they're like, well, God forbid you ever have to ask for somebody for help or something ever happens to your people. Well, thank you for that. And I don't disagree. God forbid something ever happens to my people. But my people will have insurance, first of all, because my kids know that they don't even get to move the car out of the damn driveway if it doesn't have insurance. Second, I don't understand why. How is that a thing now? This goes right back to the begging thing. What happened between Generation X, and the only reason I say that is because that's what I am, but what happened in the last, let's call it 30 years, that everything just went straight to shit? Like, granted, maybe not everything. That might be a bit extreme. But what happened between Generation, and rightfully so, you could probably even say that between Boomers and Generation X. Where has the degradation from generation to generation come from? Like, what is that? It's wild to me, because I have teenagers. So even from Gen X to Gen Z, thank God I don't have alphas, which I think that's what they're on, alphas. I don't know. The 6-7 kids, some of the brain rot terms are fun, but I still think to myself, literally daily, like, where the hell did everything go south? And again, I'm sure that's literally been happening every generation since recorded time. But doesn't it seem wild to you guys? I also assume that most of my listeners, most of you guys, are probably within roughly the same age range. Let's call it 35 to 60. I don't know. 40 to 60? Shit, I don't know. I'm totally guessing here, but it is wild to me how people just think that, oh, well, I can't pay it, so, oh, well. It's just not how that works. The gas bill, for instance. Oh, well, I can't pay it, but also I'm going to be, upset and offended and somehow befuddled when they shut it off. Like, what in the actual hell? What do you mean? What do you mean you don't understand why they shut it off? They shut it off because you didn't pay it, because it's not an option. If you want to use their gas or use their power or keep the roof over your head or drive legally, then you pay you pay the price. I don't understand why that, again, is somehow just unexplainable. Or I know. Here we go. It gets back to these are basic human rights. No, they're not. They're not. Air is a basic human right. We could spend a very long time talking about the ins and outs of food and water being basic human rights. Then we could also end up in a really smelly rabbit hole of healthcare being basic human rights. The list goes on and on. And I don't necessarily agree or disagree with all of them, or disagree rather. Some of them I agree with. We've talked about it before. The basic universal anything is just a terrible idea. If you guys are listening in one of those places that has basic universal health care, I really, please, God, please send me an email and let me know what you think about it. I really want to know. I really want to know firsthand from someone who has it in a place that also, has it. I really would like a firsthand account of what it's like, because I think it's an awful idea. Basic universal income is a crock of shit. You know, basic universal housing, also not a great idea. Someone has to pay these bills. That money to pay the individuals and pay for the goods and services has to come from somewhere. So again, please, if anyone is listening from somewhere that has universal basic health care, please reach out to me, blowedoutpodcast@gmail.com. I would really, really love to hear your take on it from firsthand experience, because from where I'm sitting over here, I just don't think it works well when you scale it to 335. Let's call it three. I don't know what the actual number is at the moment, but let's call it 335 million. I don't think it scales well to that point. You know, everybody's excuse is like Switzerland, or which probably may or may not be wrong. I don't know. A couple of those smaller countries in Europe that have it. That's great for 30 million, 20 million. These places that are literally the size of Rhode Island. Perfect. Scale that to 330, 340 million people in the U.S., I really don't see how that plays out. Again, I'm no expert. I'm just a dumb redneck. I fix things. Sometimes. I get my ass kicked by microwaves, for hell's sake. But I can build the shit out of an airplane. I don't have the answers. I'm genuinely curious. I would like to know. So if someone can please let me know, that would be fantastic. I just don't see it, how it pans out well. Anyhow, now that I've ended up on that little rant, I don't even know where I'm headed. Let me check in with the producer dog. I hope all of this seems at least entertaining, if not somehow relevant to our talks. Sometimes I feel like it's the same damn thing over and over again. Although I absolutely enjoy doing it. I always hope that you guys enjoy... Ouch. Sorry. Pinching my butt. I always hope that you guys enjoy listening to it. I don't generally feel like I am nearly as articulate or convincing as it sounds in my head. But I guess at the end of the year, New Year's Eve is probably the best time to express this and try not to get all up in my feels here. I do hope that all of you are continuing to enjoy the show. I do hope that you guys will start reaching out. As much as I beg, I'd really love to hear from you guys. Give me ideas, give me stuff, talk shit, give me anything, but stop being a big meanie head comments. I get those plenty. For the new year, I know I've been talking shit about it for a long time, but I think I finally, just in the last couple of days, have completed everything I need to amass 2 complete setups that I don't have to drag back and forth. So for those of you that have been with us for a while now, have had, or have experienced some of the better sounding issues and some of the not so great sounding issues, that's because I drag all the stuff back and forth in a big damn Rubbermaid tote. And I think I can finally stop doing that now. I think I have enough stuff amassed to have a full setup for the shop and a full setup for the house. And we can do multiple people at both places without having to switch back and forth and get all crazy with the cheese whiz. So that should be a thing. I'm definitely going to try and get some more folks rolling through this year. As far as interviews and things, I think we're in a good place with the serious to shenanigan ratio. And again, that's always up for debate. If you guys wanted to chime in and say you wanted more funny stuff or more, multiple personalities, which I can also drum up. I can stop taking my pills for a few days and we can have multiple personalities every time. Which is funny, but not true. I don't take any medication for it. So they're here with us all the time. But I think like I said, I think we're in a decent place with that ratio, at least as far as anyone has told me. 2 or 3 to 1 serious to shenanigans. Well, let's be honest, none of them are really serious, but like I said, I would definitely like to roll some more folks through for different perspectives and interview-ish type shows. I don't really have a big desire to do that. I mean, again, it's what you guys would like. It would be folks who, just like the ones in the past have had something along the lines of what we do and get along well, or things, ideas, and entities that we're also passionate about. So it's never going to get too crazy. Like, I have no misconceptions of ever having, Neil deGrasse on or anything like that, but I wouldn't have anything to talk with him about anyhow other than, space is cool, right? And he'd, do what he does and go astrophysicist on me, and that would be the end of it. Just like the time I interviewed for a top secret position with the DOD, and I showed up to the interview, and I'm not going to lie, anyone who has worked for the DOD or ever even applied for the DOD knows that their system is flawed. And by the way, that means a lot of things. But the one I'm speaking of is their interview selection process. And you have to, in your resume, hits certain keywords. Good Lord, this chair pinching my butt has got me all messed up. Anywho, once your resume hits certain keywords through the computer, you just get the interview. So I was selected one time, and it was a GS, it was a good, like a GS-12 or a GS-13 position. Would have been awesome. Astronomical. But I wasn't entirely certain why I hit the profile. Keywords, again, management, I don't know. Who knows? But so going into this interview, it was with two gentlemen in a secure area, who, of course, I had previously never met. That it's typically at least two. It's anywhere between 2 and 5, maybe 6 folks. It's never one, or it's very, very rarely ever one person. It's more of a panel style interview. You're given 15 minutes to answer a handful of questions before they even move on to the next round. So we move into this secure area. We introduce ourselves. I sit down, and one of the questions was something dealing with a magnetron. It's nothing I can't speak of. It actually is ironic that we've been speaking about microwaves, because a magnetron is one of the main components in a microwave. Well, I know that now. But at the time, I was just, an airplane mechanic. I was a wage leader, but essentially at the end of the day, I was just a mechanic that was responsible for more mechanics. So I knew airplanes. When they asked me about a magnetron, I had absolutely no clue. And again, this was probably, 10 or 15 years ago now at this point. I had absolutely no clue what a magnetron was or how it applied to this position that somehow I was being interviewed for. So I tried to like blow some smoke up their ass. It was just like, well, I mean, if the magnetron ain't working, it ain't working. Am I right? And they both just completely deadpan looked at me, and I thought, oh, shit, well, that did not work. I didn't even get a smirk. So I kind of thought about it for a second. And I said, you know what, gentlemen, I'm going to be honest. I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing here. And I thank you for your time, and I'm just going to go ahead and excuse myself out of the remaining 13 of these 15 minutes that you've given me to pretend like I know anything about this position. And they both just stood up and said, well, at least you caught on to that because, yeah, it was pretty rough. And I said, yep, you're absolutely right, sir, and thank you again for your time. And shook their hands and showed myself the way out the building. Much like I kind of do with this show, I hope that y'all enjoy me trying to blow smoke up asses, and if not, just drop me a line and I will kindly see my way out of the building. But I hope not, because I sure have fun doing it. I said, hope you guys love it too. Hope everyone has a great New Year's. Please be safe. Be careful. Don't do anything cray-cray. Keep your head on a swivel. Look out for everybody. Look out for one another. Give all your loved ones a hug. Remind them you love them. And we'll talk to you guys next year. All right. Love you guys. Cheers.